Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Now, today I am joined by the beautiful Lisa Wold. Lisa, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, this is such an honor for me. Being able to work with people and learn how horror started for them is such an honor for me. It literally means the world to me. But before, Lisa, we start to talk about why you're here, I would like for the people that don't know you to get to know you a little bit. Lisa has loved Halloween for as long as she can remember, which is probably why she became a makeup and cosplay artist. She moved to the Bay Area several months before the pandemic, which did have a significant impact on what she's doing today because she didn't even unpack before the shutdown happened. So, what was that like moving to a brand new area, then having to shut down before you really got to meet anybody and learn anything about anybody?
It was really crazy. The whole, everything going on in the world at that time was really crazy. But, I didn't want to just be sitting at home um, doing nothing. So, and we're kind of, me and my husband are empty nesters. So I just thought, really, I have a passion for photography also. So I started doing that. And as I did that, I started getting to know the whole Instagram app a little bit better. And I started posting some of my photos, and I love to dress up and I love makeup and all of that stuff. So it's no wonder I love Halloween. But I started posting, and then I got the attention of a cosplayer, and she really liked my stuff. So she invited me to start doing cosplay. And that's how I got into the whole cosplay scene up here. And I actually also love to promote events around the area, and it also helps me to get to know the people around here and the area. So Instagram was actually a really great way for me to kind of get to know my neighborhood and the people living in my new surroundings. So it was, social media worked out great for me in
Yeah, I
that
was say
way.
that's a way that social media can be super beneficial is
Yeah.
when you can do things like that. And you were talking about like your love for photography, like you would do different early morning shoots related to different periods of time and different settings. And like you said, going from that and being able to expand into, the cosplaying and things like that. And the best way for you guys to be able to follow along with that is by clicking the links down in the description, because I have all of Lisa's social media links down here. So you can follow along with her on the journey that she's on. And you can check out some of the cosplay things and some of the photography things that she's already been doing. So at the time of recording, do you have anything coming up down the pipeline that you can tell us about that you're going to be doing?
Um, I'm supposed to be going to Fanime, so that should be a lot of fun, and that'll be May 27th. So I think I'm supposed to be part of a Mario Brothers group. So the new
Yes.
movie coming out, yeah. The cosplayers, they love to be on top of the newest and
Yeah.
most recent things coming out. So it's always a lot of fun, and it actually is very interesting to me because it's a learning experience to me, because I also have to do a lot of research of the characters and the movies just to get to know what they're all about. It's
Exactly.
it's actually been a really interesting experience.
Well,
You
if
know,
you're going to be Princess Peach, I'll be Bowser just following you around going, Peaches, 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 Peaches.
I might be her. Yeah, I'm going to be one of the princesses. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
and
So,
again, you guys can follow along with that by following Lisa on Instagram. And you don't have to travel far because those links are down in the description. So, do you prefer to do like when you're doing cosplay, do you prefer horror, or is it just like whatever comes, whatever's hot at the time, you're willing to get down with?
I'm pretty much open to getting down with whatever. I'm part of the NorCal cosplayer babes group.
Okay.
So a lot of times they'll come up with photo shoots and fun things they want to do, and they'll say, "Hey, who wants to do this?" Or we get some options. But last year I went to SinisterCon for the first
Okay.
time, because I'm new to the area, and I don't think they really had that down in Southern California, where I'm originally from. They had Monster Palooza, but SinisterCon up here, oh my gosh, it was so much fun. And we ended up doing a Monster High group, and I just loved it. And honestly, I do think I like to do more of the monster horror stuff.
Mhm.
I just haven't had as much opportunity because there's not that many horror cons up here or anything like that. But I mean,
Right.
I would love it. I would love it if there were there. but I do notice that a lot of the monster and horror people go to whatever con there is. They don't care. They just
Right.
go, and it's fun. It's just a lot of fun. I love it.
It's a huge family. Once you're involved with it and you're going to the cons and everything, everybody starts to learn everybody's name and they start to really appreciate
Yeah.
each other and the hard work they put in. It's a beautiful thing. And it's funny, you
Yeah.
talk about the beauty in horror, one of the, most hardcore genres out there, but everybody really does love everybody and everybody really appreciates everybody in the genre. So I'm so glad you're getting connected with it. And I can't wait to hopefully run into you one day at a con so I can be able to shake your hand and tell you how much I appreciate the hard work you do as well. So, um, in order for you to, become a horror cosplayer and become such a big fan of the genre, horror had to start for you somewhere, Lisa. So now I would like to go back to the past and talk about what got you started in the horror genre, your first horror movie. And Lisa, the first horror movie that you watched was?
Pretty sure it was Jaws, and it was really scary, and it scared the crap out of me. And I actually saw it in the theater. So I was actually, I don't know, I've always had this wild ass imagination. So for whatever reason, I was so scared to put my feet down, my legs down in the aisle, because I just thought it was really dark in the theater. I just thought somehow a shark was going to be there and just going up and down the aisles. I know it's totally ridiculous. This is like, I think I must have been like 6 or 7 at the time. And it was like just going up and down the aisles, and it was going to like chop my feet off or my legs off or something. Just
It's
really,
the imagination of a child. That's what's so
yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, it was just, yeah, it was great. But yeah, I always remember that. And I went and saw it with my step grandfather, my cousin, and my half brother. And I know that's a lot, but um, and my cousin was very hyperactive. And I remember some of the scenes he would jump. He would jump out of his seat, and it would just, I mean, talk about a jump scare. I mean, he would just freak me out. It would heighten that sense of fear. So
Right.
yeah, that was a really scary movie for me.
Well, and I get it because like I was potty training the first time I had seen this movie, and I was like, "Listen, mom, water in the toilet, sharks in the water, checkmate. I'm not sitting there. Not going to happen." So,
That's
Jaws
good.
really did have a huge impact on my life as well. And we know that you've seen it at a very young age, 6 or 7, with a lot of your family members. A good thing about this is it's a memory that you're going to hold on to forever. Because yes, there was a horror movie involved, but like you said, you had your grandpa, your cousins. Um, were they all into horror, or was this just like, the blockbuster at the time? Let's go check it out.
I think honestly, my grandfather really didn't know what to do with us. And I mean, he just really wasn't one of those parental type figures that was like really worried about what we were watching. I mean, it was just, we just went, and maybe he didn't even know what it was going to be about. I mean,
Right.
it's just honestly, I mean, back then, because I'm just dating myself here, but we saw it when it really came out. And back then, the reason why it was such probably a huge hit was because there really wasn't anything like that back then.
Right.
When it first came out, there really wasn't. I mean, then they started with more of the animal horror movies like Grizzly and like, and then Jaws. I don't know if Jaws started it, but I mean, there was always science fiction type horror, but I don't remember anything like that before Jaws. So that was very real for me because I lived in Southern California and we went to the beach a lot. And that's
Right.
probably why it was even more horrific. It was more real because, we lived, pretty close to the beach. And that's what you did in the summer. You went to the beach. So,
And that I can only imagine because I live in Michigan. We got the Great Lakes, but there ain't no sharks in the Great Lakes. So it probably would have been a lot more scarier had I had the accessibility to sharks. So this movie is still talked about today.
yeah.
Whether you're talking about the beautiful score or the malfunctioning of Bruce the Mechanical Shark, which actually heightens the fear of the movie because you don't have the villain in your face the whole time. But this is still a masterclass on how to make a film. And there's a lot of impactful scenes throughout Jaws. But which scene would you say it was, Lisa, that affected you the most?
I think it was actually the very first scene because I really didn't know what was going to happen. I'm just like this little kid. I really didn't know what was going to happen. And you see this girl start swimming and, and then that iconic music, just that music that, something is coming. You can't see it. You don't know what it is, but something horrible is coming. And then it's kind of when she starts getting tugged at. And you're like, oh my gosh, is she going to get away? She can get away. She's going to make it, because you see that floating thing and the ocean. I mean, you're just like, the buoy, and you're like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, is she gonna make it? And it's just like you get a view of the perspective of the shark coming up at her, and it's just so freaky. I guess because also she was night swimming, and that
Right.
freaks me out. Like, it's bad enough when you're in the ocean and it's daytime, but night water and at the beach at night in the water, I mean, it's a whole different thing. So that freaked me out. And then when they found her arms with the crabs crawling all over her hands and her arm, that just there's a lot of scenes in that movie that just freak me out, so
Oh,
when yeah.
100%. Like there's so many different scenes throughout the movie, and it's got some of the best quotes of all time, whether
Yeah.
it's
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Yes.
or one of my all-time favorites that I said all the time as a kid while playing Nintendo.
Smile, you son of a...
That's another one that was super quotable to me as a kid. And both
Yes.
of these, obviously we all know the story about the "you're gonna need a bigger boat" was an ad lib moment, which is amazing. One of the best ad libs in the history of cinema. But what would you say your favorite scene from Jaws would be?
I think it was probably that scene where he said that at the very end, I mean, I actually saw it recently because when I found out I was doing this, I was like, okay, I better watch that movie again, even though I don't even know why I don't know the words to that movie. I've seen it so many times, but yeah. And there was a little tradition we had for a while with my husband. Every summer he would do Shark Week. So, I mean, I don't know his sense of humor, but I mean, so I think my daughter has grown up being really freaked out by sharks too. But but I think it's that scene. I do, because that was just like, you're like, oh my God, are they finally going to get the shark? I mean, because it was just so horrible after the shark bit Robert Shaw in half. I mean, it was just, oh man. I mean, that whole scene where he's, falling in, they do that side scene of him going into the shark's mouth. It just really, that scene also affected me a lot. I was so sad for him. Like that just, yeah. He survived the Indianapolis, but he didn't survive the shark. Jaws.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and Jaws is, as much as we hate to say it, Jaws is part of a franchise now. There are 4 films in the Jaws franchise. And I got to ask, because it's part of the script, is the first Jaws your favorite, or is there a different movie in the franchise that's your favorite?
No, I think the first one is, because I love the actors and I just love the original. And I don't know, it always seems to me like the first one is always the best. Sometimes the second is really good too. Like I loved Halloween too, but I don't know if I liked it better than one. I think I might have, but usually the first one gets me.
And Jaws is no exception. I think Jaws is the best in the franchise. I will say, however, I'm a huge fan of Jaws 2. I think Jaws 2 is extremely underrated. Very good movie. 3 and 4, not so much, but I really am a huge fan of Jaws 2 myself. So while we're talking about, favorites and stuff like that, we know your first horror movie was Jaws, but now here for a second, Lisa, my little buddy Ghostface is here, and he has a question for you. What's your favorite scary movie, Lisa? What is your favorite horror movie of all time?
Halloween.
We're talking about 1978, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why. There's just something about it. And I see Michael Myers at a lot of the cons. I mean, it's just like, I know they have the new, the Sugarmint Gallery in Pasadena now that has like the Michael Myers house there. I mean, I would love to see that. There's just something about that one. I feel like, yeah, to me, I like more of the psychological thriller type horrors. Sure. And I guess for me, the gory stuff is just like, okay, it's gory. I love the special effects. I love the makeup there. But when it gets too gory and it's just kind of strays off of what is really going on behind there, like I really like those thinking ones that makes you have to think like what happened there, so that one just kind of caught my attention because it was just, I'd never seen anything like that before. The first time I ever saw it, where they kind of showed a little kid being the murderer, and that one just kind of always stuck with me like, oh my God, he's in his little clown suit and, he's like this murderer,
Yeah.
you didn't really see that at first. You just saw like the mask,
Right.
in the movie. And then when they take it off and it's a little boy, you're like, oh my God, and
Killing his sister, like my wife, her favorite franchise is Halloween. So I know where you're coming from with that. And this is something that she's always been a huge part of. And I always think about Halloween and Jaws in the same aspect, because both of these movies, if you've never even seen these movies, the score. People, that's how important the score to both these movies are. People know the Halloween score, people know the Jaws score. Both are very, very important. So, we talked about Halloween, your favorite horror movie. We've talked about Jaws, your first horror movie. And I want to bounce back to Jaws here for a second. And what we're going to do is we are going to rank this movie on a skull count. Now, we're not ranking Jaws on acting, production, score, direction, nothing like that. We're strictly ranking Jaws on how much it affected you on your first viewing. So 0 skulls being not effective, 5 being extremely effective. You can use half and quarter skulls anywhere in the middle. Elisa, what would your ranking of Jaws be?
Out of 5 skulls?
Yes, ma'am.
I would say 5. It really freaked me out.
Mm-hmm. And it's one of those movies that sticks with you forever. And like I said, you have, the malfunctioning shark. And so when you finally get to see the shark, it is that much more impactful. So,
well, it's funny because like when I saw it recently, I was like, oh my God, how was I scared of that? I mean, it's just so campy now. But
right.
When you're little and you do, you're close enough to the beach to go to the beach all the time, it's real. Like you do have to be, it is scary when you're in the ocean. I mean, I started surfing when I was like 20, and I remember looking down and seeing little things moving in the ocean and being like, what's the first thing I think of? Jaws.
Jaws. Yeah.
Yeah. So it stays with you. It just, because it's so, you can relate to it. I can relate to it. You know?
It becomes a part of your life. I completely understand and respect that, because obviously the movie means so much to me. I
am too.
So, I get it. And I did say this at the beginning, guys, but we are at the end of the third act. The credits are about to roll and the curtain's about to drop. But before that happens, please remember, I have all of Lisa's social media links down in the description. So make sure you're following her so you can stay up to date on everything that she has coming up in the future. Lisa, please don't go anywhere. I have a couple more questions for you. Everybody else, if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe. It helps the channel more than you know. And follow Sledgehammer Horror on social media. We would love to have you along for the ride. And until next time, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.